Today we're ranking every boss battle in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 from worst to best. Insomniac has done a great job of mixing incredible cinematics, drama-filled storylines, and challenging gameplay into these action-packed fights. And with many iconic villains in the game like Venom and Craven, we got exactly what Spider-Man fans want. I can't wait to talk about them because the boss fights were the best part of this game for me. But first, make sure to leave a like to support the channel, and if we hit 2,000 likes, I'll let you guys pick the next video on this channel. At number 10, we have Spider-Man vs. Scream. After Mary Jane gets infected with the Scream Symbiote, Spider-Man has to face his lover in a brutal battle. The fight wasn't too hard as I beat it on my first try, but there was a few points where I thought I might lose. Even though this game is the worst boss fight in the game, it wasn't bad by any means, which just shows how much I loved each and every boss fight, with Insomniac going for high quality every single time. The actual gameplay is great and it's different from anything else in the game, but the main reason I didn't like this fight as much as the others was because it was the only boss fight in this game that genuinely annoyed me. The very repetitive dialogue of Mary Jane constantly ranting in a big vindictive tone to her lover Peter got very annoying very quickly.
Look how it's doing with you!
I can go fix this!
I mean, she just never shut the hell up. And by the end of the fight, I was just happy I didn't have to hear her whining and complaining about the most simple things anymore. Still, it was cool to see Mary Jane as Scream and for Insomniac to include multiple symbiotes aside from Venom. At number 9, we have Spider-Man vs. Mysterio. Let's be honest, Miles Morales vs. Mysterio wasn't much of a challenge, but that doesn't mean it wasn't incredible fun. I mean, from an atmospheric, visual, and environmental aspect, this was a stunning moment in the game. I really love the colors, the shading, and details that went into this entire fight, and using Mysterio's theme of visual and psychedelic trickery allows for a trippy battle against the iconic fishbowl-headed villain. They really nailed the Mysterio character here, and this was as good as it gets. I've never seen Mysterio as someone strong, and he's more of someone who's going to make you hallucinate and question reality. So if you're a fan of Mysterio, you'll love this fight as much as I did. At number 8, we have Peter and Miles vs. Sandman. Peter and Miles vs. Sandman sets up the stage for this game as the opening sequence and the first boss fight of the game right from the start. In contrast to the previous Spider-Man game where you fight Kingpin, this fight is so much better. Facing this giant Sandman while he destroys the entire city was just straight up awesome, and seeing Miles and Peter's chemistry fighting this colossal man together was also a great touch. Most of all though, I've been waiting for this game since Spider-Man first released in 2018 for the PS4, and I love that Insomniac decided to start out with a bang, including top tier cinematics here, giving us one of the coolest parts in the entire game right from the start. The main reason why it's so low on this list is because it's by far the easiest boss fight to get through and wasn't much of a challenge, but I still just love how they incorporated Sandman into this game. At number 7, we have Spider-Man vs. Wraith. If you played the last game, you'll know why fighting Wraith is such a personal moment for Peter in this game. It really does a great job of establishing their bond in the first game, only to make this moment in the second game even more dramatic and tense. Yuri, who has now become Wraith, is not even close to the same person she once was, after going down the rabbit hole of hunting down a cult leader responsible for many deaths. But Spider-Man, being someone who isn't willing to kill, confronts Yuri as they team up once again. I really like the philosophical battle that's at the center of this fight. Yuri, who believes in killing a crazy man to prevent more chaos and innocent lives from being attacked, and Peter, who believes in second chances and redemption, mixing this with personal drama between the two, and you have a really good storyline elevating this to an incredible battle. But this fight was also decently challenging even though it's only a side mission fight. With Raid lashing out quickly and brutally, it makes you need to focus on quick response times, parrying, dodging, and doing the right timing. At number 6, we have Spider-Man vs. Mr. Negative. Miles Morales vs. Mr. Negative is one of the most built-up fights. After Mr. Negative becomes responsible for taking the life of Miles' father, this leaves an emotional scar on Miles. And once Mr. Negative was freed from prison, Miles took the personal responsibility of tracking him down and dealing with this himself. But when Miles and Mr. Negative do finally fight, it's not like anything you would have expected. And that's because it's at Craven's mansion Coliseum style in front of all the hunters to put on a show. And the fight itself was a really entertaining one, with Mr. Negative having some really cool powers. And then you add in the plot, the environment, and personal interest from Miles, and it really elevates you to put yourself in his shoes and kick the ass of the man who ended his father, making for a very emotional fight. At number 5, we have Spider-Man vs. Lizard. Spider-Man vs. Lizard was like a movie. But before we get into that, if you enjoy these videos and want to support us, make sure you subscribe. I'm currently working on a few more Spider-Man 2 videos and some end of the year year gaming videos as well, where we're going to go over our favorite games of 2023. So subscribe and hit that notification bell to never miss an upload. The lizard fight was just great. I mean, you almost get this horror inspiration and Goosebumps vibe, with the dramatic tension of knowing that Lizard is now on the loose, and the dramatic irony knowing exactly what Dr. Connor's going missing means as a longtime Spider-Man fan. The cinematic scale of this fight is also top tier, with Lizard rampaging through New York City, crashing through a museum and through a dinosaur skeleton, metaphorically showing us we're basically battling a prehistoric beast here. The actual fight itself was so crazy, with the Lizard lashing out its powerful teeth and tail, a carnivorous beast who must be stopped at all costs. It just has a classic video game boss feel fight to it, but with a more modern Jurassic Park twist. At number 4, we have Peter versus Miles. While fighting Craven, the symbiote continues to take over Peter's mind and he begins to grow darker and more evil. After Craven escapes, Spider-Man takes a dark turn and almost kills Craven before Miles steps in. And this turns into a showdown between the two Spider-Man characters, Peter and Miles. Once again, like many of the fights in this game, this is pure drama, seeing Peter fight the kid he's been training to be the next Spider-Man. I love the storytelling here, showing us that Miles has finally arrived and he has to become the hero who saves Spider-Man. Just the idea of Spider-Man versus Spider-Man, seeing these characters after you play as both of them, and now they're fighting, it was just such a cool idea from Insomniac, with a perfect opportunity being Peter with a symbiote suit. And it didn't feel forced here, which was great. At number 3, we have Spider-Man versus Craven. I loved Craven in this game. He was the highlight of this game for me, and every single time he was on screen, I was just so excited. He was a force of unpredictable chaos, turning New York into his own hunting ground, and all of his actions come to a final conclusion with a black suit Spider-Man finally getting a true 1v1 fight with the villain. This was probably the most difficult boss battle in the entire game, and that made Craven feel all the more powerful and menacing. Plus, having the symbiote taking over Peter, making this an even more aggressive and action-packed fight, and it became one of my favorite moments in the entire game. At number 2, we have Venom versus Craven. Alright, so playing as Venom was something that was short-lived, but while it lasted, you feel powerful. It's not a difficult boss battle, as you can get through Craven pretty easily as Venom with a lot of parrying and raw destruction. But this combination made for a really fun experience, contrasting the previous fight with Spider-Man versus Craven. You feel the difference in raw strength compared to Peter, who's more agile and quick on his feet. And then Venom just comes in ripping through a private military base, and then we finish this off fighting Craven. Villain versus villain fights are always some of the coolest things to witness, especially since up to this point, Craven was such an incredible antagonist. And for a satisfying end to come down to Venom biting his head off like some kind of heartless beast had me yelling in shock at how crazy this game was in such a short period of time. It immediately establishes Venom as the ultimate final boss for this game, and for someone who was pretty difficult to beat as Spider-Man, Venom makes Craven into his midnight snack. If this Venom moment didn't live up to the hype for you, then I don't know what else would've. At number 1, the greatest boss fight in this game has to be Peter and Miles versus Venom. Peter and Miles versus Venom is the conclusion that we all saw coming, but this was such a good fight. While Craven may have been more of a difficult fight, this was a much more cinematic and long-lasting final battle. The highlight for me was the reveal of Venom pulling out wings mid-fight, looking like some kind of demonic berserk villain soaring through the air. Venom already looks crazy as it is, but this takes Venom to a completely different level. And the emotional drama between Harry and Peter as long-life friends was all a nice touch, since Peter wants to save Harry as much as he can, but he knows he'll have to put an end to Venom. And with this being the first time Venom is Harry Osborn, I think Insomniac did a lot better with this concept than I originally expected. It takes both Peter and Miles to defeat Venom here, and the stakes are higher than ever, with Venom turning all of New York City into his infested symbiote zone. I really love the cutscenes and even the gameplay fighting on the high school, which goes back to the setup planted in the beginning of the game, where you go back into a flashback to when Harry and Peter snuck into their school as students. You could just tell everything here leading up to this moment was carefully planned, and this made the execution hit that much harder. And let's be honest, Venom is just simply that guy, making this feel like the truest example of a boss battle that we've seen since Doc Ock in the previous game. I love Spider-Man and I love Venom, so of course this climactic battle was my favorite boss fight of Spider-Man 2. Make sure to leave a like if you agree with my rankings or if you simply enjoyed the video, and go ahead and leave your thoughts and rankings in the comments if you disagree in any way. And if you want more Spider-Man content like this, click on this video right here where we rank every single Spider-Man 2 suit.